In this video, we are going to talk about how to create new blocks, meaning if there is a block which is not part of the primitive ones offered by thunkable, how can I create my own block? So create a new block and then name it creating new blocks. Again, don't worry about the category or don't change this one to private, then hit click. Now, what we want to do is we want to have a text box and a button beside it, and then we want to have a new block called label at the bottom. So to start doing that, we are going to go to user interfaces. Before I add any text box or a block, I'm going to add a new block called row. This one makes the new blocks to be beside each other. Right now, my row is taking the whole height of the screen. To make it only to fit the contents, I'm going to click on Fit Contents. You will see that the contents is row 1, so that's why the height decreased. Now I want a text box and a button to go inside the row. So I'm going to drag and drop a text input and a button here. Now I want both of these to go inside the row. To do that one, I'm going to drag and drop the button over the row 1 and then drop it. You see the button goes inside the row. Now I want the text to go inside too. So I'm going to drag and drop text over row 1. You see the text went inside and the button on the right. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to take the input out. So I'm going to, or I'm just going to leave it the same way, type here. I'm going to change the name to be input, and I'm going to change the text to be submit, and the name of the button I don't care, let it be button 1. Now I'm going to drag and drop a new block that we never use. It's called label. I'm going to drag and drop it at the bottom. It goes on the top, so let's bring it down under the row. I'm going to close the row here, so I'm going to drag and drop it underneath. Now the label is not taking the width of the screen, so I'm going to go to the label, and under the width it says fit content, so it's going to fit whatever inside, but I want to fill the container so it fills the whole thing. Also, I can go and change the weight to be bold. I can change the color to color here, and I can pick a color, let's say red. And also I want the alignment to be centered, so I'm going to text align and click on center. Now it appears here. Now at the beginning I don't want the text to be labeled. Look, when I erase it, the label is gone because there is no text inside. But later on I'm going to add whatever text is here, I'm going to show it here. So now I'm going to go to blocks, and I want, whenever the user hit block 1, button 1, I want to show the message in that label. The label, let's see, did we change the name of the label? Apparently we didn't. So let's change the name of the label to message. Okay, so now if I go to blocks, I see the message, and I can set the text in the message to whatever I want. So I'm going to bring it here. In input, I want to get the text. So I'm going to take this one and put it right here. Now, when I click on the button, the label, the text becomes whatever I type over there. So if I go here and I preview it, if I click on submit, you see undefined because I didn't type anything here. If I type 1, 2, 3, 4 and click submit, you see the text changed to 1, 3, 4. If I type I love Dora and exclamation, then it's going to show I love Dora here. Now, what about if in our code there are so many places that we want to show the message here? This means that I have to duplicate this code anywhere that I want to display the message. Now I can go ahead and do something else. I can create a block like this one, and I can call that block to display a message. How do you create a block? You click on functions and you will see these two. This type of block is the block that does something, doesn't return anything. But this one does something and return the final result, whatever you want the block to return. In display, we don't need to return anything. So I'm going to bring one down and then I call it, let's say, display message. Now, to display a message, I need the message. To add an input to this block, I click on this guy, and you will see it says input name. I bring it here. Now I'm going to call the input to be, let's say, input message. Okay? And then I close it. You will see the block is created display message, and the input is called input message. But how can I call this block? It's very easy. I go to functions, and then you will see this one is added here. So I'm going to bring it here. So if I want to use this block, I have to supply the input message. Now, let's see how we can write the code to display message. I'm going to bring this one here. And instead of input from that text box, I'm going to use the message which is given to the block. How do I access this message? It's very simple. I go to variables, and then you will see this input message. So I'm going to drag and drop it right here. So whenever I call the block and I supply the message, it's going to change the text of the label to this message. Now, let's see how we call this block. I'm going to call this block by providing the input message, but the input message is coming from that text box input. So let's see how it works now. If I go here to preview, and then I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see that it appeared here. If I type, let's say, ics2o0, it's going to show me ics2o0. Now, what is the nice thing about this is that anywhere in the code, if I want to display something, I just call display message with whatever message I have, and it's going to call this block. So I just created a new block which is not provided by thunkable. Now, another thing that we have to I notice here is that when I display the message, let's say 121, and I submit, the message stays here until a new message arrives. Let's say 90, then it changes to 90. How can we display the message for a period of time and then erase the message? That's interesting because you have to use another new block here, which is given in thunkable. So let's display the message for the number of seconds which the user specifies, and then erase the message. So how can we wait for a few seconds? We go to control. You see this one which says wait. This is going to halt the operation for that number of seconds. Okay? We said that this number of seconds has to always be given by the user. When you're writing your code, you can specify 1 second, 10 seconds, 1 minute, whatever. So we have to add another input to this guide. So I click on this one and I bring another input, and I'm going to call it wait time. Okay, so I'm going to close it. This is the wait time. Again, to get the value of wait time, I go to variables and I get the wait time and I put it here. So the message is shown, then the app stops for that many number of seconds. Then I want to erase the message, so I'm going to make this one equal to blank now. So I go to text and I bring a blank text here. So it's going to show this one and then wait and then clears the message. You can see that this guy now needs a number here. Let's go and change this one to 1 second. So now the message is going to be shown for 1 second and disappears. Let's go back to here. Let's go to preview. Let's type Dora. Look what will happen. Then it's going to show Dora, disappears. Then I can say ics2o0 shows 1 second, disappears.